SEAS6 Magnolia show with myself, Curtis Pope, and of course the new guy on the block, the new guy at the brokerage. We have Arpan here. Okay, so we talked about assessments and BC assessment and versus actual values in the first segment. Now, what were we talking about again for the second segment?
So I just wanted to explain more on the role of a real estate professional, how we as professionals do the heavy lifting to streamline transactions, just to ensure, there's a smooth and seamless experience for our clients.
Yeah, that's great, because that's something that people, they probably think, well, you just help me buy and sell the house. But there's a lot of little details involved in buying and selling a house.
Yes, that's for sure.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So what is the, by your way of thinking anyway, as a real estate professional, so what is your job as a realtor then? How do you do all this?
So, there are two segments in this. One is when you're working for a buyer, and the other one is when you're working for a seller. So I would like to start when we are working for a buyer. Then obviously, we as real estate professionals, we have that expert market knowledge. So we have that in-depth knowledge of the local market, including current trends, neighborhood dynamics, and property values. So by leveraging this expertise, our buyers narrow down their search criteria, where, we can meet their specific needs and preferences. We have to make sure what's the difference between needs and wants, because many times people confuse themselves between what do they need and what do they want. So the first thing is to start with what do they need, and then if possible we try to make sure we can include some wants as well. The second thing is access to listing and resources. Many people sometimes see, there are so many websites out there, they can see the listings, and as soon as they come up, that's not the case. So I have my buyers on automated search criteria. So as soon as the listing goes up, they're informed if that listing falls into their criteria. Normally on the real estate website, sometimes it takes a day or two. In a regular market, you won't feel, that's not much of a difference. But, when it's a hot market and, let's say if the listing has come up on a Thursday or a Friday, the showings are to be done on Saturday and Sunday, and the offer presentation is on a Monday or Tuesday, then you want to make sure that, you have the access to that listing, or at least, you can see that listing ahead of time. So any kind of due diligence that you want to do, something like a home inspection or any mortgage financing related issues, do all this due diligence ahead of offer presentation. So this was pretty common back in the day, like in 2021, 2022. So in a regular market, it doesn't affect you that much. But then again, sometimes even in today's market, you'll see homes are just to be shown on Saturdays and Sundays. Offer presentations are on Tuesdays, and then every moment, every day, it counts. So access to those listing and resources, that's really important. And the third one, it comes down to negotiation skills, of course. So every time I work with a buyer, I ask them this question. Okay, you have to trust me, and you have to let me know what exactly is your ceiling price. Because if I know, what's your ceiling price, I can negotiate on your behalf. Because it has happened with me, and I think it's pretty natural with all of the people. They want to keep their cushion, and slowly and steadily, when I have built that trust, they open up and they'd let me know, what's their ceiling price. Let's say if the ceiling price is $1 million, and if the property is listed at $1,125,000, they'll tell me, they can maximum go till $1 million, and then I try to negotiate on their behalf. But then again, my goal is not that, if they said $1 million, what if the property is worth $980? I'll try to, work around with the seller's agent that, this is how I have come up with the values. The property needs this and this much work, and the similar properties have been selling in the area around this price. So even I'll question the seller's agent. How are you coming up with this price? So all of these things play a very crucial role, when we are helping the buyers.
Yeah, and I know that from, my past experiences buying houses too. I mean, there is that wish list versus the want list, and there's certain, intangibles you have to have, like, I'm the cook in the house. I want a nice kitchen. And
yes.
So that was one of the things on my list. It had to have a nice, kitchen, which we got. Not quite my dream kitchen, close. Could be a little bigger, could have an island, but it's got 2 peninsulas. It does the job.
See, that's something I want to point out. I mean, in all my real estate career, and even people who have been in the industry for a long period of time, everyone has one saying in common: Like they haven't seen ever a client got a property where like they got a 10 on 10 property. You may get a 9 on 10 property, you may get an 8, 7, 6. You just have to get your foot into the real estate so that, you're not losing out on the inflation. So just get your foot into the real estate and slowly and steadily, just work your way up.
Well, it's exactly what we did. We bought our first house in Prince George for like $92,000 many, many years ago. And then it doubled in price in a couple of years. We moved back home. We had a down payment here. We've been able to upgrade here. And yeah, that's the thing about real estate as an investment. I mean, it is all about the long game.
Of course.
And it does pay off if but you got to get into it.
Yes.
You got to get a foot in the door. And that's the important thing.
So yeah. Coming on to the sellers, how I have mentioned before regarding the market value. So, that's a marketing expertise that we have got. So first of all, we are skilled marketeers who know how to showcase properties in the best light. Because sometimes, when it's a buyer's market, you have to consider, how do you want to market the property. When it's a seller's market, it's a different marketing strategy. If it's a balanced market, it's a different marketing strategy. So where to begin? We have to understand what are the actual market conditions as of now. And then again, every home has got a story to it. How can you actually bring that story to life? And on which platforms are you actually marketing that specific home? That is also very important. The second thing is pricing strategy, coming back onto the marketing strategy that, how are you pricing it? If it's a buyer's market, you must have seen back in the day, when it was a seller's market, most of the properties, they were listed under the actual market value of the property, just to get more eyeballs. And similarly, when it's a buyer's market, you want the property to be listed somewhat on a higher price so that, once the negotiations are done, it somewhat falls into that market value of the property. So pricing strategy is very important. And sometimes, you have to see what are the active listings. If there's actually the listing that you have got, is there something similar to that specific house active in the market? If not, you can definitely charge a premium for that because, sometimes the new buyers would want a swimming pool in their house and some buyers hate swimming pools in the house because of the maintenance. So it depends, how do you want to price that home? So there are a lot of factors when it comes to place. And the last and the foremost factor is transaction management. So we as real estate professionals, we bring everyone together into this transaction, be it lawyers, notaries, home inspectors, mortgage brokers. So as soon as there's an accepted offer in place, we get the mortgage broker involved, like this is happening. And then, during that subject removal period, there are home inspectors coming. If there's a need of arborist, the arborist is coming. So all of the due diligence that needs to be done during that transaction management period, we are taking care of all of those things. And let's say if it's a strata property, like all the documents that you have to go through, all the minutes that you have to go through. For example, Form B, what if the Form B is 1 month old? What if the Form B is 2 weeks old? And as I say, the Form B can be a day old and it could have incorrect information. And on that specific day, a new thing can come up. So it's very important to go through all of these things. And then, of course, we don't want the buyer's focus or the seller's focus to deviate because there are many times when emotions come into place, and we as real estate professionals, we have to make sure we have to keep a check of emotions. We have to look, based on what are the facts. The buyer is not overpaying, the seller is not accepting something which is under the market value. Of course, there are a lot of things to consider. Sometimes it depends on situation to situation. Sometimes the seller is in a hurry to sell their place. Sometimes a buyer is in a hurry to get into some place. So situation to situation, it depends. But there are a lot of factors which comes into real estate. We just don't list the properties. We just don't put it on MLS and just the social media platforms. We are actually advertising it on multiple different platforms to help our clients.
One thing that stood out when Michelle helped us sell our house was at one point there was another home in the neighborhood just about a week before we got offers on ours.
Right.
And it was a former grow-op.
Oh.
Now that place went for a pretty good dollar, and now knowing that, of course, that's a 15 or 20% less value because it's a former grow up.
Yes.
So having that knowledge and Michelle coming to us going, this just sold for this.
Right.
So you better not accept anything under this.
Yes.
Was a huge help because, you know, if you didn't have that intel.
Yes.
And it's a little thing really in the big scheme of things, but that house there sold, it was a former grow up. It went for this. So you better be looking around here. And, you know, she got us top dollar for our house too.
Of course, and you know that's a very good point because I have been in a situation where there was a grow-up situation in a strata townhouse. See, with a single family detached, you can completely get rid of the house, you know, apply for a different civic address, and you know you can take it off your title. But with a strata like
It's
townhouse,
there forever.
yeah, it's there forever. So this is something you know we train ourselves year over year. I mean, you know, sometimes it may feel like you know, all we are doing is just showing houses and, you know, just quickly closing and, you know, we are just taking a lot of commission. But then again, I mean, what people need to remember is just as top athletes, they train for months, realtors are also continuously learning and training consistently. We practice like athletes, so when the time comes, we can create a winning situation for our clients.
Absolutely. Well, with that, our show is coming to an end. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Pleasure talking to you as well.
And if people want more information about your listings and things like that, they can go to Remax, MagnoliaRealty.com.
Or simply they can ask Arpan.
Yeah, or you can swing by First and James because you guys have that beautiful window display.
Of course.
And join us again next week when we will talk real estate in order to unlock your real estate potential on a show where real estate is maximized. Thanks for listening.